I just found a note from my boyfriend's ex telling me to run from this relationship. I have 28 and my boyfriend M30, who we'll call Steve, have been together for 2 years and have been living together for 8 months. I was cleaning our apartment when I found a note in the back of a cabinet that said, "Dear Steve's future girlfriend, I know it's you reading this because he'd never clean back here. I'm putting this here because I'm leaving him soon and want to warn you about him. He will not clean. He will not listen. He will make everything feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault, he's just an incompetent man. I'm leaving him, I suggest you do the same. Best wishes, Natalia." I read the note and brought it to show to him and hear his response. He immediately ripped it up and said not to listen to it, that she was crazy and untrustworthy. I told him that the fact that he hasn't found it in the 5 years since they broke up is a red flag to me because it does mean he's never cleaned back there and that he has been cleaning less and less since I moved in. He told me that it wasn't a problem before the note, this is just his ex continuing to manipulate and ruin his life, and I was letting it work. We continued to argue along the same lines and I eventually left to spend the night at a friend's place. Steve has been a great boyfriend so far. He gets along with my family. He has given me gifts and flowers and always tells me how much he loves me. He's not wrong that the cleaning hasn't really been brought up before. The note made me realize it had been less and less and that we needed to have a full conversation. He texted me afterwards saying he's sorry that I felt like I had to leave, but that it's an asshole move for me to take a note over our 2-year relationship and to leave him and our pets alone. I don't know what to do or what to believe right now. I'm contemplating trying to find and reach out to Natalia. Steve thinks I should come back home and let it go, that his past should affect our future. I feel like I could be the a-hole because everything Steve has said about Natalia does make it sound like she was manipulative and petty throughout their relationship, but I don't know what to trust. Update 1. I tried to have a calm discussion with Steve. When I apologized for confronting him with the note, he seemed to take that as an admission of guilt and refused to listen to anything else. I had come up with a list of specific instances of not cleaning, and he said I was using lists just like his manipulative ex did. So yeah, the crazy ex thing was definitely a red flag. When I realized the conversation wasn't going anywhere, he even tried to block me from leaving. That's when I knew it was done and left immediately. 2 years down the drain, but I'm glad I had the wake-up call before it was too late. I will let him cool off and then will ask my brother to come with me to grab my things while he's not there. He has a strict work schedule, so I think it'll work out. I am planning on leaving a note there, but probably a little longer with the advice to not show it to him. I'm leaving it in the exact same place, so if he doesn't learn his lesson about cleaning, it'll come to haunt him. All he has to do is clean. The biggest surprise out of all of this is that I didn't reach out to Natalia, she reached out to me. Apparently he borrowed his friend's phone to call her screaming that she's ruining his life still. The fact that she blocked him and he still had her number memorized just further confirms he was the crazy ex, not her. Natalia found me on social media and wanted to make sure I was okay and was especially concerned that he'd gaslight me like he tried with her. I thanked her for leaving me the note and saving me time. We scheduled coffee for Thursday afternoon. I wanted to thank you all again for the advice, especially the person who posted the Love is Respect website. I took the healthy relationship quiz after our conversation and it wasn't great. You called out how he was weaning me into an unhealthy relationship so well. Update 2. First, I want to say I didn't broke up a 2-year relationship over a note and chores. No, I broke up a 2-year relationship because when I tried to come up with solutions to an unequal situation, his response was to yell and try to convince me there was no problem except me. The final straw was when he physically blocked me from leaving the house after he was screaming at me. That is not okay and no one should stay with a man who responds to conflict like that. I wound up texting the post to Natalia last night and she thought it was great. She, like some of you, asked me about the pets. For context, one of the things Steve and I connected on was our love for little creatures. It's why I thought he was such a great guy, because if he could take such intricate care of his lizard, he could do the same with me. I was very wrong. He has one lizard he bought before me and then we bought 2 frogs together. I have a snake I brought with me when I moved in. I was planning on waiting until he cooled down to go grab my things and the frogs and snake, thinking he would never hurt them, but Natalia changed my mind. She said he could get destructive when he's mad and was concerned about the safety of my little guys. I immediately knew I couldn't wait until later this week and reached out for a meeting with the landlord for early this morning. Natalia is a lawyer and told me that in our state, landlords are required to let me get out of the lease I signed in cases of DV. She also told me that his yelling, gaslighting, and refusing to let me leave are all types of abuse. It's definitely hard for me to sit with that, but the Love is Respect relationship quiz helped me also realize that a bit more last night. Apparently his constant messaging and control over what I wore and when were signs of abuse too. Anyway, this morning Natalia volunteered to come talk to the landlord with me alongside my brother. As soon as he heard the word lawyer, he was on top of it and said I could break the lease, but would still have to pay for all of August even though I'm leaving 3 days early. I felt like that was fair. He also messaged Steve to say the apartment needed to be empty for emergency maintenance all day today so I could pack my things. Steve messaged back that he was at work all day and wouldn't be home until 6 p.m. When I got into the apartment, it was a mess. He had broken my dishes that I had brought with me on the ground and left the shards laying about. My clothes were ripped up and scattered around our room. It was disgusting and heartbreaking. He left his lizard alone, but opened the tank doors for our frogs and my snake. Luckily the frogs were still chilling in their enclosure, but my snake had gotten loose. This made me the most mad, as she could have gotten cut on the broken plates. I feel so fortunate that she was just hiding in the closet corner and I was able to pack her up safely in her enclosure again. All my things are packed and I'm writing this as my brother drives me back to my friend's house right now. Natalia told me that she actually left 3 notes, one in the cabinet, one on the underside of the vacuum, and one in the crumb catcher of the toaster. While we were there, we checked to see if the notes were still there. The one on the vacuum was, but it looks like Steve did clean out the crumb catcher at least once in the past 5 years. He never told me he had already found a note in our conversations, so it caught me by surprise. Natalia and I left the vacuum note as is and replaced the cabinet one. I wasn't comfortable leaving my name on a new note, so my addition was a handout on healthy versus unhealthy relationships and a QR code to the quiz that woke me up. Natalia said if he didn't find the notes in those 5 years, especially after the move, he probably won't find them again. I'm inclined to agree, especially given he did find one but then didn't even clean the rest of the house to see if there was any more. Steve doesn't make sense to me, and seeing the state of the apartment really woke me up to the fact that I have no idea who he is. The Steve I knew would never put animals in danger, but I don't think I really ever knew Steve. I also made an appointment for a therapist. I'm very lucky that my job has good insurance, so I should be able to work through this relationship, and I'm hoping to focus on boundaries and my people-pleasing habits so I never find myself in this situation again. To the people wishing that Natalia and I would get together, we had a good laugh about it. Natalia is engaged to a wonderful man who cleans, listens, and reflects. She said there's a phenomenon that when people break up with their awful ex, their soulmate can quickly follow. I'm hoping that's true. Regardless, I do think I got a good friend out of this, especially since Natalia is a snake mom too.